10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the show, Swampies.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Welcome to the jungle, baby. Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to Two Dudes Movie Reviews.
Ma, the meatloaf!
You see what happens, Larry?
How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
I am McLovin.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
Come with me if you want to live.
Gentlemen, you have my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Now, here's your hosts, Sky and Colin.
Here's Johnny!
Hey, moviegoers. You are listening to the inaugural episode of Two Dudes Movie Reviews with Sky
and Colin.
And we couldn't be more excited to talk with you people today.
Yeah, this is first episode. We've been trying to get this going for a while.
Yes, we have. And it's finally come to fruition.
I'm very excited.
I'm not excited at all. This is going to be awful. No, we just heard a lot of noise out there on the streets that people are looking for more two straight white males to have a podcast where they bitch about movies, and
it's in demand.
Yeah, highly in demand. But that's not really what we do. We don't really bitch as much as we observe and report, I'd say, right?
Yeah,
we're
Seth Rogen.
Yeah, we're like the mall cops of movie podcasts.
Not the Paul Blart Mall Cops, though.
No.
Definitely not.
Although we should do that movie.
Brandon, I actually mentioned to Brandon about this, and he said, if you do a Paul Blart episode, I will be your guest speaker.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, so...
All right, so there we go. Episode 1, we're already planning for the future. That's the kind of action you're going to be getting here today. You're going to be seeing into the future.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Colin, like, why don't we tell some of these people a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, you want me to go first?
Yeah, man. That's what I fucking said.
Fuck you, then.
I quit.
You know what? This isn't gonna work. No. So, obviously we're both huge movie lovers and movie goers. Obviously, but my background in film, I guess, I'm actually an animator. Went to school for 3D animation, and yeah, I basically try and see everything possible in theaters. Even with my artwork when I was younger, everything came from movies. I would see a movie and then I just try and draw everything from that movie.
Yeah, I feel like I did a lot of that too, just trying to recreate stuff that connected with me as a child. But I do that more now as an adult. I wasn't timed appropriately throughout my life. That's awesome,
Late
man.
bloomer.
Yeah. So you graduated from that school?
I did graduate.
So you are a college-educated animator.
College-educated animator.
Now, myself, I went to college. I use went to loosely. I would show up sometimes to college, and I did not graduate. But I was in the bullshit field of communications.
Yes.
Of course, because, thing about me is I've always had a direction in my life. It's just most of the time the direction was down.
Hey, if you go south long enough, you'll end up north.
But my quote-unquote expertise in cinema is far less impressive. I went to school and did video editing and stuff like that, and I used to make a bunch of short movies and stuff, but nothing crazy. And most of my expertise comes from my younger years, where I used to be the one who would see every movie in theaters. Now I have he's now 2.5-year-old son. I see maybe 3 movies. I previously was seeing 3 movies a year.
I was telling my brothers, though, when we went and saw the last movie that we saw together, the trailer for The Secret Life of Pets showed up, and and you leaned over to me and you were like, "Have you seen that?" And I was like, "No," and you're like, "I've seen that 100 times."
Oh yeah. Oh, it's great. love it. So yeah, having a 2-year-old, I get to see all of the animated movies, but still don't see them in theaters. He's still a little too young for that noise.
Here's the thing, though, and I feel like I should probably stress this. The name of this podcast is Two Dudes Movie Reviews, so we are not pretending to be professionals.
Oh, by no means.
So
just a couple of dudes who enjoy the movies. And now I actually get to see more movies, which is a fun thing for me for doing this podcast.
It's actually been like, just in general, we see each other more, which is
sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet. We should hang out more.
It's funny because now we just don't talk about movies anymore in person. We're like, save it for the podcast.
Save it for the podcast. Don't look at me.
If you look at me, I'll know the way you feel about the movie.
And that's too much.
Too much. Spoilers.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing. Spoilers. We will not fucking hold back from spoiling every movie. So if the name of the episode has a movie you haven't seen and you are listening to it, it is your fault if we spoiled it, because we will not avoid spoilers.
The podcast is rated S for spoilers.
Ooh, I like that.
Yep.
But it's also a dangerous game to put something out onto the internet that says it's rated S, because everybody's going to say, for shit.
Oh,
you fucking dweebs,
get out of your parents' basement, fucking go outside to see the sunshine. And we're going to be like, listen, we're not in the basement. We're in a bedroom.
With a futon.
One whole futon.
There's room for a second one.
Debatable.
Bunk beds.
Bunk beds.
Bunk bed futons.
Oh, that'd be amazing. We should invent that. Fuck having a podcast.
Yeah, that's a great business opportunity.
We are looking for investors, though, so head on over to our Kickstarter campaign.
Futon bunk beds.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called?
we gotta come up with a better name than that. But you know what? That's for another podcast.
Yeah. Switch over to our furniture podcast.
For sure. For sure furniture. That's the podcast.
For sure furniture.
It's for sure furniture podcast.
So first episode, I think just the rough format of the show. We'll probably open up with a little banter.
Clearly.
Yeah.
A little bit of banter. That's going to be unavoidable.
We're going to do a segment called The Trailer Park. That's over probably a trailer that is either relating to the movie we're going to review or just the hot trailer that is out that is catching all the buzz.
For sure. It's crazy because remember being younger, like trailers weren't as big of a deal at all.
No, they weren't.
Now there's like, it's a big deal just to drop a trailer.
Also, like, you wouldn't see a trailer unless you went to the theater. So you wouldn't, you'd go to the theater and that trailer would start playing. You'd be like, wait a minute, what is this? And you'd be freaking out in the theater. Now it's just like, go on Twitter and it's like every single post is, oh, the Avengers trailer has dropped. And then you watch it on your phone and that's the end of it.
Yeah, it's kind of lost some of its like zest.
A little bit. I kind of
stale.
I kind of wish that it wasn't everywhere. It was very like exciting to see it for the first time on the big screen in the theater.
Yeah, well, also I think a big part of it is people started skipping the trailers when they would go to the theater anyways. But that's more the theater's fault for playing like 30 minutes of trailers.
I'm in the minority. I like sitting through the trailers, but
Me too.
Me too. I know there's plenty of people, my brothers included, that are like fucking hate sitting there for so long.
Yeah.
And I've got it planned out to a science now. Our local theater that we go to, 25 minutes of trailers. You can show up 25 minutes late and you will not miss the movie.
Nope, not at all. 25 whole minutes. And it really is 25 minutes every time.
Yeah. If your movie's starting at 7:30, it's not starting until almost 8.
Yep.
So
it's unfortunate, but it's true.
Most of the time I'll show up and I'll maybe have 10 minutes to spare or whatever. But that's just because I'm always late.
Grab a popped corn.
Yes, a popped corn, some bunch of crunch.
Ooh.
Indulge in a soda.
I only like a little crunch. I don't need a bunch or a bunch of.
Fuck.
Little tiny crunch.
So yeah, we'll go over trailers, get into the movie review, trying to get you as many new movies along with some really good old ones. And yeah, I think eventually we would like to start getting into guest speakers, whether that be through like Skype or just in person, but we would like to start bringing people on once we get a bigger body of work and get all the kinks out.
Oh man, I like leaving the kinks in.
Ooh.
But I'm just super kinky. You're gonna get a lot of dad jokes. Before I mentioned I have a 2-year-old. Yeah, that's real life. So dad jokes are a big possibility for me.
Is that a joke you would have told your 2-year-old?
No, he's too old for that shit.
All right. So tonight we're doing Creed 2.
Creed 2, baby. You know, we're gonna dive into all of our feelings and stuff about that, but I'm not spoiling anything by saying I was excited to go see this movie.
Yeah, as was I. I was very excited to see this. I loved the first one.
Yeah, Creed. Great stuff.
Good
I only
stuff.
saw it a couple days before I went into the theater to see Creed 2. So like having Creed so fresh in my mind, I think was something cool. And it kind of is going to help me realize things about the movie later. But
in prep for Creed 2, I rewatched Creed, but I also rewatched Rocky 1 through 4.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't do too deep of a dive, but those movies are so burned into my brain forever that I don't think I'm going to really forget.
Yeah, I didn't need to do 5 or Rocky Balboa. Just strictly just based on the plot of Creed 2. And we'll get into all this later, but I intentionally just didn't do 5 and 6.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
But yeah, so we're going to get into that. We'll talk about the whole franchise in general, do our review.
We're going to rate all the movies out, all the Rocky movies leading up to and including Creed 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
We're going to get into this. But before we go too deep into the Creediverse or the Rockyverse,
the Rockiverse.
Ooh, we are going to take a little trip to the trailer park.
All right, so for the trailer park, neither of us have watched this trailer yet.
Nope. Fresh. This is going to be a first viewing.
It came out. I suggested it, and then we were like, all right, we won't watch it until the episode. So the Men in Black International trailer has come out.
Very nice.
We decided to do this one because Tessa Thompson is in this movie, you know, along with Creed 2. So
yeah, there's a connection there. There's a little bit of a tether between the two.
A little bit. Very different movies, probably, but we wanted to do something that had a little bit of a link. So before we get into the trailer, what is your experience with the Men in Black franchise? Were you a fan?
Very much so a fan of the first one.
Yeah, first one's great.
I consistently play Will Smith songs at work, and it brings me the greatest level of joy. Men in Black 2, not as good, but a fair sequel. It's fine.
Okay. And what do you think of 3?
Did not see it.
Oh, okay.
Did not see it at all. So I'm not as... So when this movie comes out, I would like to see it, but I will need to see Men in Black 3.
Okay. I like 3 better than 2. I don't
really
like 2 that much. 2, I think, kind of...
Oh, it definitely falls flat in a lot of places.
Yeah, I was going to say, missed its mark.
Yeah.
But the first one, I mean, so much childhood nostalgia for me. I loved that movie as a kid. I still like that movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, Will Smith, that was kind of like coming into his prime around that time. I mean,
yeah.
Independence Day was around that time, I think. You know, Men in Black.
That movie's amazing.
Yeah, no, this movie's so good. Tommy Lee Jones is great in it. The humor is great. I actually really appreciated some of the practical effects in the movie. There's not a ton, but there's enough. Like, they used kind of a prop head for Mikey in the beginning of the movie that I liked.
Those are cool.
But yeah, no, as a kid, really liked Men in Black. A little worried about what they're going to do here. Not entirely sure.
It would seem like it's a pretty easy movie to reboot because it's an organization. They have tons of people who work there. It doesn't have to just follow the Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith format of like their relationship and stuff too. It could just be about 2 other people. They can be years apart from each other and not even be aware of each other. I'm sure they're going to make mention of them. Like there'll be like some sort of thing and be like, oh, I heard about like this great Agent K or J or whoever.
Also, you know, if you don't want someone around, you can always just wipe their memory. I feel like it's very easy to just get rid of a main character in this franchise. He was like, something happened.
But that can make it fun.
Wipe his memory.
It could be like a True Detectives thing where like not every movie or not every season has the same main characters. It's just like fresh stories every time. They could turn this into like a Twilight Zone type thing where it's just like a different movie. Like there is no real connecting tissue with the exception of the organization and maybe some like ongoing like seeded like threads throughout the organization.
Yeah,
but
I would like the story of this to be more original. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping this doesn't really...
Oh, I doubt it.
I'm hoping it doesn't steal beats from like other Men in Black movies
know
or like
what?
follow along.
Maybe
some of,
this
like,
trailer is going to tell us all we need to know.
maybe.
So let's just dive in. Are you ready to watch it?
I am ready.
You listeners will listen along to the trailer as we play it, and here we go.
That sounds like Liam Neeson. Oh, it is
my
Liam
God,
Neeson.
It is Liam Neeson. Oh my God.
The midget, is that called midget cricket?
Or noisy cricket.
Noisy cricket. Yeah.
Time to prove yourself, Agent M. We may have a problem in London.
Welcome to MIB. You will be in some feet. One of the best ever to wear this suit.
Catching up on my daily meditation. Time for lunch, I think. You hungry?
It's 9:30.
Oh, it's Tuesday's taco day.
Oh, director of Fate of the Furious.
Yeah.
And then immediately they show a car.
Puts every citizen of this planet at risk.
Oh my God, the song choice.
Yeah, not feeling that.
What? They have shown like 50 different settings for this movie.
There should be a big red button around here somewhere.
Found it.
You don't press the big red button.
Are the Men in Black.
Looks like the tables have turned.
So are they a different version of the Men in Black? Are they an international branch, or is that just like the subtitle?
I think
because they're
I think
because
it
looks like they went to a million
because
places.
she is an American MIB, but she went to England.
I guess.
All right.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, there were some beats in that trailer that kind of answered those questions. I think it's gonna be a little bit corny.
Yeah,
it looks a little corny.
I think so too. It looks a little bit like, I know that there was like, crazy gadgets and stuff in the, the Men in Black movies already, but the part where they're pulling apart the pieces of the car,
it was kind of put together like a whole weapon. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. I'm assuming so. Like, Liam Neeson is going to be the mentor, I guess, of the group. He's almost going to be like...
I think he's like the Zed of the British MIB.
Okay. That makes sense. I like that Chris Hemsworth is in it. I like Tessa Thompson a lot.
Yeah, we know he's got like comedic chops from what we've seen in like Ragnarok, and they have chemistry together because they've worked together.
That wasn't giving me the Men in Black vibe that I was really hoping for.
It is very different, like tonally, to like anything from the original series. Well, maybe not anything from the original series. It is a little bit, I don't know. It just seems like flavorless. It just feels like, I don't know.
It seemed to me like
I'm not excited for the movie.
Yeah, that was kind of like it
did not get me.
Hopefully
pumped.
the next trailer's better. I just feel like the first one had a lot of like charm and like wit to it. Like Will Smith was like very smooth in the movie and like cool. And
Tommy Lee Jones plays such a good straight character.
There was like a lot of moments in that movie that were like actually like kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like especially for a little kid, like the part where the
dude
alien
crawls up the wall.
Skins him. The one guy, he does crawl up the wall, and then he jumps off the building.
Yeah, that freaked me out as a kid.
Yeah, like,
and then his like eyes like are actually
open and
gills.
close yeah,
that was freaky as a kid.
This looks very like cartoonish in a way.
Yes, it's super colorful and bright, and like seems way more gun heavy. Like they didn't really use guns too much in the first one.
Yeah, there are obviously guns and different weapons in it, but like,
dude, the first one they go to a morgue.
Yeah,
dark stuff.
I felt like they were more detectives, or like, you know what I mean. They were
Yes.
in the first one. This looks like they're just like
this one looks more action,
like secret agents, but it's like the James Bond secret agent from like
the first Men in Black wasn't like
the
an
Pierce Brosnan
action
era.
movie. Like they were following the trail of an alien. Like it wasn't like a bunch of blow up scenes and like high like action scenes. Like I don't know, man. This one's definitely catered to the times, and I think it's unfortunate that they have to reflect the stupidity that is people right now.
Yeah, I hope that's not it. Maybe it's just a bad trailer. I wasn't a fan of the song choice either.
Song choice is very important, not just for the trailer, but for the movie. Because if that stuff translates into the movie, that's a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, like, how many trailers have come out lately where, like, the song makes the trailer?
For sure.
Suicide Squad had a pretty good-looking trailer.
Did it?
I liked it. It had Bohemian Rhapsody playing in it.
Oh, right.
And then that movie was ass. But the trailer looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I'd be a little bit more hyped for that trailer. A little bit more excited for the movie. Before the movie, I mean, I'm going to see the movie, but...
Yeah, I think we have to now.
I am definitely a little less hyped.
Yeah, definitely.
We were talking about two different trailers for this segment, and I kind of wish we went with the other one.
Same, but we'll get to that other trailer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that does it for our trailer park. Visit.
This was kind of a weak one.
Yeah, that sucks, man. But you know what? That's gonna happen, especially because we didn't pre-watch it.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have like any real notes or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Just you're getting the raw feelings about it, and I think that's almost better because that's kind of how everybody feels. Like that first time when you watch a trailer, it's only going to leave you with a couple of feelings. You're going to be like, "That looks like it sucks," or "I have no feeling about this," or "That's fucking amazing. I have to see it."
It was funny. Did you watch the Hellboy trailer?
Yes, I did.
I watched the Hellboy trailer, and
the music was another thing with that one.
I like the music in that one.
I didn't like it as much. It almost sounds kind of like same thing. Like it just sounds like popcorn movie, and I want it to be darker and gritty.
At first, I was like, you know what? I kind of like that they're not taking it too serious. But then at the same time, I watched that trailer a few times, and every single time I watched it after that, I liked it less.
Yeah.
And then I thought about the comics a little bit more, and I was like, you know what? This is not doing the character like justice. Like Ron Perlman was like very funny as Hellboy. Like there's some good moments, but the movies aren't like the first one. He's fighting Nazis. There's a darker tone to them.
Yeah,
and his uncle gets like assassinated. The guy just like stabs him in the back of the neck, and he knows he's basically just like, yeah, kill me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This looks like they're going popcorn flick, like you said, and I wasn't a big fan of that trailer either. There needs to be a trailer that gets me like hyped. I guess that was Endgame, but
it's always Marvel. They just know what they're doing. They're trying to tug everyone's fucking heartstrings out. But
yeah.
All right. Yeah, man. All right. Well, Men in Black International, we'll see it, I guess, but more because we have to, not because we're super excited to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll rewatch Men in Black.
Yes, I'll be that's what I'm more excited. I'm more excited to actually but I will rewatch Men in Black.
You want to get into the main event?
Ooh, I like what you did there. Main event. Yes.
That's a good one, right?
That's perfect. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Creed, Rocky, Adrian, everybody.
I'm looking up how much this movie's made so far just because I'm curious.
Yeah. So that's another thing we like to do is Colin is the researcher on our team, and I'm the guy who shows up to record these. So I love that you do actually like look into this stuff because it's not something I'm always thinking of, but I do have opinions on like whether a movie should or shouldn't have made what it did. I think this movie's probably gonna be well enough, profitable.
Oh, it's definitely profitable. I'm a little
as well it should be.
I'm looking at the number right now, and I thought it would have been higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll get into that. So, Creed 2, the sequel to Creed, which is a sequel to Rocky, and Rocky 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and Balboa. So,
whoa. It's a lot of Rocky movies.
A lot of Rocky movies. This is the 8th installment in the Rocky verse.
That's nuts. And you know they're not just going to stop at Creed 2. They got to do Creed 3. And then they got to do Creed 4 and Creed 5 and Creed Balboa.
Creed Balboa.
Yeah, that's how it goes, right? But on the 6th one, you just leave off the number and make it a Balboa.
Let's start first with just the Rocky franchise and make our way up to Creed 2 here, I guess. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, you want to go through each movie?
Yeah, that's what
you're saying.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
All right, let's dip our toes into each one. What kind of stats do you got for these movies? What are you going to be running down for the people and myself?
I didn't delve too much into all the other films other than just my raw opinions. I do have the Rotten Tomato scores and stuff like that for them.
That's perfect. So that actually sets up another segment that we had planned. Am I correct?
Yep, that's what I was alluding to earlier.
Hell yeah! So what we like to do on this show is look up the tomato readings. Like I said here, that Colin is like our numbers guy. He really does the deep dive on these films. It's not quite a deep dive to go to Rotten Tomatoes, but I give him credit because I wasn't going to do it. So on that said website, you might have your critic score and your audience score, and sometimes those are wildly different. So what we're doing here is we're going to get both of those scores, and in a little segment called Tomato, we will see whether we agree with the tomato, the critics, or the tomato, the audience, on whose score seems like more fitting for the movie that we're kind of talking about.
I actually find the Rotten Tomatoes scores pretty fascinating. I go on there all the time just to see what movies got, what people thought of them, because there's movies that I love that critics don't like, or there's movies that I love that the audiences don't like and stuff like that. And it's just nice to go and read the reviews and see what people like, what people dislike. And there's been plenty of movies that we've looked at even just recently that were I don't know what the fuck they were talking about there. That's a great movie.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's you have a problem if you are the type that looks at Rotten Tomatoes, sees the score on there, and decides based off of that alone, I'm not going to go see that movie, because it is so not an authority on how good a movie is at all. Yeah. Basically, we just kind of use it just as some sort of advice, some sort of reference point.
We will still be giving a letter grade to the movies that we review.
Yes.
But it's just a thing of, do you agree with this? Do you agree with that? Tomato. And then we'll get into our score afterwards. It's just a fun thing. But it is nice to look at both of them.
Yeah.
Because I think you get some cool opinions from it. I'm just going to start off with Rocky, though.
Yep.
The first Rocky.
The Rocky.
Came out in 1976.
Crazy.
The history, or the whole story of how the movie got made is pretty fascinating. And I mean, this is one of the most iconic movies,
absolutely,
ever. It's, I mean, at least I'm gonna say of ever in any genre, but at least when it comes to boxing, it's the movie. Even
talking about boxing in general, you will always think of Rocky.
Yeah.
He's the greatest boxer who ever lived, and he's not even a boxer.
And you know what? It's funny because these Rocky movies have never really been about boxing.
No, yeah, you're right.
It's, the character is a boxer, and the climax of every movie basically is a fight.
Yep.
But the majority of the movies are more about finding your place in the world, or discovering your own self-worth and defying the odds and stuff like that. There's really not that many fights in every movie. There's usually 2 at the most.
Yeah, there's usually the one in the beginning that kind of sets a tone for either who's going to be coming up. There's always that one burner match in the beginning.
Yep.
But
Rocky 1 starts off, I think Rocky 1 has a burner match, and then I don't think there's a fight until the very end.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah. I mean, the first Rocky's so good. So
that's
Sylvester
amazing.
Stallone, he was living in New York, I think, originally when he was trying to, make it in movies. I think he had gotten a few roles before this, but they were very small roles. But
the Italian Stallion.
Well, that was, before Rocky.
Yeah.
But he like nobody wanted to cast him because he's got like a weird face. He's got a really like weird voice that like you can't even understand him half the time.
What are you talking about?
But he moved to California. Couldn't get any roles. Like he was so like poor that he actually had to sell his dog to pay for his rent. He couldn't afford his dog like food.
That's sad.
Yeah. And
great way to bring all the people down.
It's gonna
make us all feel blue.
You'll feel good in a second. Well, I don't know. There's some dog lovers that are gonna be upset the rest of the night.
You'll feel good in a second. He went and got a cat. And everything's better.
He went to a boxing match. I think he was seeing Muhammad Ali actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think so. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was a match with Muhammad Ali, and then basically like against some nobody.
Yeah.
And I guess like the nobody actually knocked down Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And it like inspired him to write Rocky. Basically,
That's crazy.
Basically a, nobody took like the champ like all the way, and like, he wrote the whole script for Rocky in 3 days. And it was 90 pages long.
It's amazing.
They only used about a third of his script. But 3 days it took. And then he actually was on an audition for some other movie, didn't get it, but as he was leaving was like, hey, I wrote this script, do you want to read it? They read it and they loved it.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to cast him.
That's messed up.
Yeah, so they offered him $300,000, but like the caveat was that he couldn't be in it. Like they would buy the script from him, but he couldn't be in it.
Imagine a world where he wasn't Rocky.
Yeah.
Who?
He said if it got made and he wasn't in it and it did well, he would have like killed himself.
Yeah.
So
I probably would have too.
And but he basically like they really loved the script, and eventually they like came to him and they're like, fine, like you can be the star and you can make this movie, but we're only giving you $1 million to make it. And even in the 70s, like that wasn't much to make a movie.
Yeah. Luckily for this, there's not really much you have to pay to use, like pay to like, because when you watch the movie, it's not like a spectacle of like a film. It's nowhere near like the production that they put into it, obviously, like later on in the series.
Yeah, no.
And even like these movies don't really need much dressing up. Like it's mostly just setting that they're spending money on.
Yeah, he said that they used a lot of handheld cam, which saved them money, and a lot of the extras and like other people in the movie were either his friends or his family that he can like save money on. But yeah, he made this movie. It's not directed by Sylvester Stallone. I thought it was.
No, I think he takes over at 2 or 3.
The director for the first Rocky, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but
Francis Ford Coppola.
Was it?
No.
I was gonna say like nice.
I mean, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure though. I had looked at his body of work. I think he did it after, but it's the same director who did Karate Kid. Looking right now, where would it be? Director John G. Avildsen. Yep, that's who directed this movie. And
okay.
Where is it? Rocky comes in at 1976, Karate Kid 1984, and there was one other one. He came back to the Rocky franchise in 90 when he did Rocky 5.
Boo.
But I think that basically killed his career because he didn't do much after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he didn't direct it. Stallone wrote the whole thing though, and got the money for it, and he ended up winning 3 Oscars, got nominated for 9 Oscars.
That's insane.
And I think it grossed $200 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Off of $1 million.
Way to fucking go. Man, I really want to watch this movie tonight.
Rocky's great. I mean, you can watch it any day.
I love it.
So, and then from there, a whole franchise spawned.
Yeah.
And the first Rocky, I mean, is really there's a fight in the beginning like we were saying, but the majority of the movie is just this guy. He's a normal guy. I feel like the Rocky character has always been like an advice giver. Like he comes off like very likable. There's a scene in the first one where he's like hanging out with people on the side of the road, and he's like, yeah, you don't want to be hanging out with these guys. And he like walks her across like the street and gives her this whole spiel about why like she shouldn't do that, and then she's basically just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But like he's an advice giver.
He's like
though.
looking out for people.
Yeah.
He loves, you know what it is? He's a hometown boy who loves his home. Like he's just like a nice guy in the community, and he's just a sweetheart. But it helps to make you like sympathize with him when he's getting his fucking face punched in. Like it feels like you're getting your face punched in, you know?
Nobody's ever
like,
broken his nose.
That's our boy. That's our boy.
Yeah. Apollo Creed, played by Carl Weathers. Also, Chubbs from Happy Gilmore. Basically, his opponent, I think, gets injured. He can't do the match, and then he, as like a publicity stunt, is like, I'll just give like some schmo a chance at the title, even though like I'm gonna destroy him. And he picks Rocky because his nickname is the Italian Stallion, and he likes the marketing like campaign behind it. And he wants to be like a symbol and an inspiration for people. And he doesn't even want to win the match. He just wants to be able to last the whole match.
Take him 15 rounds, baby.
Yeah.
Just
and it's funny
laying him
because
in there and staying up.
When you're watching the movie, especially the first time, and the movie ends, you're like, it's just you just watch him get his shit kicked for 15 rounds.
Yep.
But you're so happy. He doesn't win, but
it
you're
still feels good.
So happy for him.
Still feels good.
Yeah. And that's why a lot of these Rocky movies, you don't actually know if he's going to win or lose, which I do like the unpredictability to him.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the tomato on this bad boy?
On this, critic score is 93.
Mm-hmm.
Audience score 69.
Come on, audience.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It's a tomato for me.
Tomato. Yeah.
Yeah. Why would? Come on. That's awful.
It's really bad. That was one I saw. I was like, geez.
Man, now I gotta rewatch this movie. This is making me rethink. Is there something I missed? Is it actually a bad movie?
No. You know what I will say about it though? Like rewatching it, some of like the dialogue and stuff doesn't seem all that natural, and the way that he like kind of goes out of his way to make Rocky seem like a good guy almost reminded me in a way of how Tommy Wiseau makes his character in The Room, like like, oh, he's the best. He does all this like good stuff.
You're my favorite customer.
All these Rocky movies get cheesy at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say that the first Rocky is probably
heartfelt
I think the first Rocky is probably the least cheesy out of them. They go fucking crazy later on, which we're gonna get to. But I mean, the first one is very grounded. It's like, it really is like the quintessential indie film. Like this guy just made it off of a small budget that in his idea, and it blew up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, this is for me tomato for sure. I can't believe that score for the audience score.
Because if it was so low, then would they have made Rocky 2?
No, they would not have. And Rocky 2, from here on, I'm going to go through these movies pretty quickly, but Rocky 2...
we had to talk big about the first one because it sets up.
Yeah.
It's the reason we have all of these movies to talk about.
Yeah. So, you know...
Eight movies. You don't make 8 movies based off of whatever, 63 or whatever fucking was.
Yeah. So the second one, basically Rocky... It literally starts up right after the fight with Apollo Creed from the first one.
I love that movie does that.
Yeah, and they're both going to the hospital, and I actually thought it was funny. Like some like the dialogue in the beginning is very cheesy. Like no reporter would ever say this, but it's basically just like, Apollo, how embarrassed are you that you barely beat this guy?
That's like TMZ style, like reporting.
But basically, like, even though Apollo won...
This guy may have said you have a small dick. Can you respond to that for me? Excuse me?
To be the man, you got to beat the man.
Oh.
But no, he says, he basically, he doesn't feel like he actually won. He feels embarrassed that he didn't knock him out. So Apollo...
Which is a cool part. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. But like when Rocky actually like rolls into his hospital room because like they're both just fucked up from this match, just beat the shit out of each other. They're all, you know, swollen up and stuff. And like Rocky rolls into Creed's room and is just like, hey, let me ask you, like, did you give it everything you got out there? And he's like, yeah, I did. And then like that kind of like pleases Rocky, but it like sets a fire in Apollo's belly.
Yeah.
And he's just like, that this fucking nobody almost took me out.
Mm-hmm.
And it sets up like their dynamic, and it like puts even higher stakes, because the first one he was just like random opponent, right? This one really feels like they are against each other. You know what I mean? Like it's serious. Like this time it's personal.
Yeah. This one also just
man,
like
I love this one.
I actually feel like there's more at stake in some ways in this one, because maybe not so much from Rocky, like psychologically, like I felt like emotionally you connect more with Rocky in the first one, but just on like a physical level, Apollo Creed does not take him serious in the first fight.
Yeah.
But he gets jacked for this one, and he's just like, I'm gonna murder this guy.
Yeah.
So this fight, you're like, oh man, you actually need to, like, you might get fucked up even more in this one if you don't like bring it. And he doesn't even train that much in this movie. Like a lot of this movie is him working at like a meat factory.
Yeah, that's right. But it worked.
Oh no, it's really fun. It's really good.
Spoiler alert! It's the one he wins.
Yes, and then he does win this. They both get knocked down at the same time, and Rocky's able to get up by the end of the round, and Creed is like a second behind.
Yep.
Yeah, he wins. And one thing I will love, I think this movie has my favorite training montage.
Yeah.
It is so over the top crazy. The entire like city of Philadelphia, actually just the children of Philadelphia are chasing him up like the stairs.
Whose kids is these?
Yeah. It's funny when you watch it because it's like a few kids on bikes and like, oh yeah, there's Rocky. And then like a second later, it's like thousands of people. You're like, where the fuck did all these people come from?
And they're all keeping up with like a pro athlete's jog like routine. Like,
and I also love like Mickey in this movie. Mickey in general is just awesome, but he has some like crazy flip outs in this one. There's one part in that training montage where he's like yelling at him and he's punching like the bag and then it freezes on his face. And every time I watch it, I just die. But yeah, no, 2 is, I enjoy 2 a lot.
Yep.
Tomato?
Yeah, what you got?
71 critics, 82 audience.
It's an easy tomato for me.
It's a tomato for me as well.
But I am surprised that the audience gave it such a higher score than the first one.
I'm gonna tell you right.
Because I like this movie a lot. It is very close in my heart to the first one, though.
Okay.
These movies were huge for me, by the way. So like,
I had a
this
feeling,
is gonna be
feeling
hard thing to rank.
Yeah, you might be more attached to these movies than I am, honestly.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, which probably is most of you, Sky is a big wrestling fan.
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
I'm a hockey guy, but Sky loves his wrestling.
Loves sports entertainment, and Rocky is the first ever like real sports entertainment movie because it's a entertaining movie about sports. What's more sports entertaining than that?
I'm just I guess this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but Rocky 2 is the highest rated audience score. Out of any of the Rocky movies, that's
not including Creed.
Yeah,
got it.
Yep,
that makes sense.
So Rocky 3 starts off, and he's basically like the champ of the world.
Yep. Rocky 3 is also where we get introduced to it's the Eye of the Tiger.
They play Eye of the Tiger 4 times in Rocky 3.
They should have played it 5.
When I was watching it recently, the third time it played, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, enough with this. And then it played again. I was like, I quit.
Bow, 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 bow. I actually put that song on the playlist at my job. So every once in a while that'll come on and I'm just getting fucking pumped.
I'm pretty sure that there's 2 training montages back to back and it plays Eye of the Tiger, stops, and then plays it again almost immediately after.
That's amazing. Now I really got to rewatch that.
Mr. T is now the villain in this one.
Mr.
Plays
T.
Clubber Lang.
Yep.
And
but he fights him only after his burner match in the beginning.
Yep. Yeah.
Against.
I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me on this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's Thunder Lips.
Oh,
Isn't it?
yeah. Hulk Hogan's at the beginning of this one. Yep, you're right.
Man.
Yep,
Connecting right back to professional wrestling.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
He has his burner match in the beginning. Gets knocked out by Clubber Lang.
Knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, he gets destroyed.
Rocky got cocky.
He did, and he loses the title and has to get it back. And he does.
Yeah, end of story.
End of story. This one doesn't do it for me so much.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I
was not very big on Rocky 3. I felt like this one started getting like kind of cheesy. I didn't connect as much with it. I think the best part of maybe the whole movie is just the relationship between Rocky and Creed, because now they train together and kind of like Creed like helps him out and trains him back to the point where he can beat Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
But other than that, I wasn't a huge fan of this one. And I guess the other like big like emotional beat in this one is just that Mickey dies in the beginning.
Yeah.
I felt almost like it was kind of like almost like throwaway, like he gets pushed and then dies, and then you still got like an hour left in the movie.
Yeah.
And
well, it's kind of what sets Rocky off and gets him to come back and fight.
It is, but like, I don't know. I just never felt like it was really like he was fighting much for Mickey. I always felt like he was fighting more for himself. I didn't hit like I didn't think they did much emotionally with that death.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I can see that.
The movie that we're going to be talking about, I feel like there's more riding on the line in a similar situation.
For sure. What's the tomato on 3?
65 critic score, 73 audience score.
65 to 73. I will say tomato, but only because 73 is not a terrible score. 73 is like, what is that? Like B minus C plus?
It's a 73.
Probably like a C.
It's a C minus.
That's fair.
Okay.
I don't think it deserves a D.
I'm giving it a D.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going tomato.
Okay.
I'm not big on Rocky 3.
All right, that's good. That's good. I like, agree to disagree.
Yeah.
All right. Also, fuck you.
Rocky 4. Now, I have a lot to say about Rocky 4, and we're probably going to talk a good amount about Rocky 4 because Rocky 4 ties into Creed 2 a good amount.
Yeah, I'd say about 85%.
Yes, so. But Rocky 4 is really when
Creed 2 is actually Rocky 4.2.
4.2.
4.2.
This is when shit just starts going bananas.
Yes.
The movie starts up and Rocky is giving Paulie a gift, and the gift is a robot. He now has robots in his house.
Yes.
And
but it's only to help show how we are demolishing Russia in the Cold War.
Yeah.
Even though that robot is undoubtedly from China.
I feel like Rocky 4 was kind of like the movie to end the Cold War.
It really did. It honestly did. What Cold War happened after that movie? Literally zero.
Yeah, there was zero Cold War after Rocky 4.
Yeah, dude. Thank you, Rock.
But yeah, so it's just insane. He's got this robot, and then this
really
like
hung up on the robot.
I every time I watch it, I'm like, who thought that was a good idea? No one was like, hey man, you should probably take the robot out. But then like this like superhuman being from Russia comes over.
Yes, I love
Ivan
Drago.
Dolph Lundgren.
Love him.
It's funny they show like there's one
He's
part where
fucking He-Man.
Yeah.
He's a master of the universe.
I love the part though where they're like a normal human can punch like 600 like pounds per square inch, and then they show him and he's at like 1200. And then they show him again later on and he's at like 2200.
Yeah, he's just a monster.
It's like, okay, this is like getting on the level of like the superhero movies that we have now. And he challenges Rocky, and then Apollo's like, nah, man, I got this. I want to, get back in the ring.
All hubris.
And Ivan Drago literally kills him.
Yes, he does.
Literally kills him.
With his fists of fury.
And then when they ask him, like, are you concerned about that? When, like, Apollo Creed's bleeding out in the ring, he goes, if he dies, he dies.
Amazing. Amazing.
I always thought that was hilarious. It's like the villain he's straight up just like a comic book villain.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was in the 80s with like Russians. Russians were always just like cartoony.
Yeah.
And especially this movie helped set that tone for the future of how we see Russians always. It's always, I must break you. Like, that's always, it's like, oh, you're from Russia? I must break you. I'm sure they love it.
Probably. They probably all assume that
They're
we have a
always like,
good grasp on
Americans,
their
you're the
culture.
best.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and then Rocky has to train back up to avenge Apollo Creed and defeat Ivan Drago, and he does, and all is good in the world.
Yeah, man. It's like they did such a cool thing where your hero doesn't necessarily win. Like, he has a personal victory in Rocky 1, but he doesn't win the match. And then he goes on a real hot streak because we already said first match of the movie is a burner. That's not important. The match of the movie, he wins every one after like Rocky 1. He goes on a hot streak and just keeps winning matches.
Yeah. Yep. And
kind of took the fun away a little bit. It's exciting to not know if he will win or not.
Yeah. Which I think is with Rocky Balboa, that's 6. He actually doesn't win that one. So it's a little refreshing.
Change.
And there's barely
Change of pace.
any boxing in Rocky 5.
Yeah.
Tomato. 38 critic score for Rocky 4. 38. 79 audience score.
Oh, wow. I'm going to say tomato, but I also think it's a little high for the audience score. I will say that.
I'm going to go tomato. I like this one more than 3.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay. I like this one
We'll
more
get
than
into that when we do our ranking.
I like this one more than 3 just because I feel like there's a little bit more like riding on this movie. I feel like I get into it a little bit more, but it's very silly. There's, like I said earlier, it's
definitely over the top.
It's over the top. This is when the movies start just becoming.
I think you can tell it's the 80s now. This was in the 80s, right? This is like early 80s?
Yeah.
82 maybe?
Rocky 4 was 85.
Wow. Whoa. I don't know why I thought it was earlier.
Yeah. The original Rocky was 76, Rocky 2, 79, Rocky 3, 82, Rocky 4, 85.
So every 3 years.
Yeah.
Crazy that it would take 3 years to make a Rocky.
5 years later, though, we get the infamous Rocky 5.
Boo.
We don't really need to go into the plot too much of this one or Rocky Balboa.
Stupid.
This movie's bad, though. He basically finds out that he's suffered brain damage. He can't fight. He starts training someone. It's a Rocky movie without like any fighting.
Yeah.
And I think the scores show why people hate it.
Hit me with it.
26 critic score.
Yep.
31 audience score.
Tomato.
Yeah, I'll go tomato. They're both
close.
horrible, but
yeah,
I'll
they're
go tomato.
close to the same. I'm just going with the lower one, just to add insult to injury.
And then
this movie's upsetting.
Yeah,
I don't like this movie.
It's bad, and I mean, it basically like killed the franchise for a while. 16 years later, though, we got Rocky Balboa.
Yep, there we go. A little bit of a bounce back.
Yeah,
refreshing.
And this movie's actually not bad.
Yeah, it's not the worst.
He's older, and basically he kind of wants to make a little bit of a comeback. He fights in a charity match.
Yeah.
And
I admittedly have not seen this entire movie, but I've seen almost all of it.
Yeah. It's out of all the Rocky movies, this one is probably the most like standalone, I guess. I mean, other than I guess the first one you can just watch, but I feel like this one you could probably just watch on its own also and just enjoy it.
Which is smart considering the huge gap of time between those like releases. It's like you might be releasing it to an audience that doesn't really care about Rocky, so it's smart for them to kind of play it safe and do it a little bit more like detached from the other movies.
Yeah.
Not so reliant that you were paying attention to a movie that came out in 76.
Tomato. This movie has the third highest audience score.
Okay.
Out of all the Rocky movies. 77 tomato, 76 tomato.
Oh, then I'm just gonna go ahead and say, I mean, wow, they're basically the same, and this is the hardest decision I've ever had to make. I was gonna say tomato.
I'm gonna go tomato also.
Why not?
Tomato
Just give it the
has
extra one.
Yeah, tomato has a little bit of a negative connotation to it, so
Yeah, and it's one lighter, and it's basically the same score. May as well we're positive people. We're gonna go with the more positive answer. You know,
I do enjoy this movie.
It's fine.
Not bad.
It's fine. What I've seen of it, it's fine. It's good.
And then we have a 9-year gap, and then we get Creed.
Yes, we do get Creed.
The son of Apollo Creed. They cast Michael B. Jordan.
Love Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan
is awesome. Yeah. He's blowing up hard.
Yeah, hard. He's one of my favorite like newer actors that's come on the scene in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah,
like definitely like he's one of my favorites, and I think one of the more talented. I mean, a lot of what he does is gold. I was gonna say everything, but then I remembered he was in Fantastic Four.
He was in Fantastic Four, and he was in this like HBO movie version of Fahrenheit 451 that was trash. It was bad. It was stupid. I hated it.
Yeah, Creed comes in, and man, the first Creed is so good. I don't know if you feel that way. I love the first Creed.
I do feel that way. It is really good.
It's so good.
He's fucking electric to watch. Like, he's just captivating.
Yeah. And Ryan Coogler directs this one, and he directs the shit out of this movie.
Yes, he does.
I'm going to say this.
And they work so well because they also team up again later for Black Panther. And like, yeah, they got something good going.
The fight scenes in Creed are the best in any Rocky related movie.
I think I could sign off on that.
The match he has in the middle of the movie is all one take.
Really?
Yeah, it's so
that's
like
cool.
Go watch it again. It's like the coolest fight scene ever. They do I think it's 2 rounds or 3 rounds. I think it's 2 rounds, but it's one take.
That's awesome.
It's so sick. And not just like everything about like I love the way that Philly feels in this movie because he comes back to Philly and meets up with Rocky.
Yeah.
And
tries to get Rocky to train him because the guy who's running the gym that Apollo Creed trained at won't train him because he's like too green and he's kind of like cocky and like he's not doing the work right, and he doesn't feel like they're actually like, giving him enough attention at his gym, so he goes out to Philly, learn from the guy who beat his dad, his old man.
Mm-hmm. It's cool when he goes to Rocky's restaurant. There's all these like pictures on the wall of like his glory days, and it's like him and his dad and stuff like that. But I mean, one thing that is cool, and this is, I feel like the first Creed takes beats from the first Rocky, and that like this movie is also about kind of like carving your own path. And
yeah, it really is.
And because he doesn't even want to be called by the last name Creed. The movie starts with it's Adonis Johnson. And at the end of the movie, that's when he kind of dons the name Creed because they, as like a publicity thing, they need him to be called Creed. But like, his mom makes some of the trunks that say Creed on it and stuff. And also that scene when he's walking out to the ring for the last match, and it's like a gigantic like tracking shot. Like, I love
that's really
that.
cool.
Yeah. But no, then spoilers. I mean, another one. He doesn't win the last match, but he goes all 12 rounds in this one.
Yep. Or 15, whatever it is.
I think it's 12 in the Creed movies.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think so. But
it might have been 12 in the Rocky movies. I don't claim to know too much about.
It's 15 in the Rocky movies. I think it's 15 in the Rocky movies, 12 in the Creed movies. But he takes the champ, who is pretty Ricky Colin, all the way 12 rounds. I think he knocks him down at the end. I think he gives him like
he gets him to fall. Oh man, that gave me chills. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
He's got Tessa Thompson. We were talking about Men in Black. She's in this. She's kind of like the love interest, but her character, I think, is more than that. She's kind of like, especially in the second one, I think she's got more to do. But she's
for sure.
She's great in this, and she's kind of losing her hearing a little bit in this, and
which is something that when they introduced that in the first one, I was like, well, that didn't really pay off. They just like lightly mentioned it and then just went on, but we see it come back. It comes
around, back in the second one. Yeah.
They had like a bigger vision, I guess, than what I had when I was watching the first Creed.
And some people like this, some people don't. I think it gave the movie a little bit more emotional beats, but Rocky basically gets diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
Did you dislike that?
No, I didn't All right, well, I guess we'll go into it when we get to Creed 2. It's not something I disliked about Creed 1, but there is something I wasn't stoked on in Creed 2.
Okay.
But
all right.
It relates to this.
No, everything about the first Creed feels like super finessed. It's like such a tight screenplay, the directing, the choreography, the sound effects are really good in it. I really like the lighting. And also this wasn't written by Stallone, and it took a franchise that was getting very cheesy and really reeled it in and made it believable, and you got a really solid boxing movie and drama out of it.
And it really especially speaking to the believability, it looked like what boxing looks like now and what UFC looks like, and we know there's press tours and there's the weigh-ins and stuff like that, and there's cool things that they did there that made it look and feel like what we would see on TV for a real match that they're promoting.
When you're talking about that too, in the Rocky movies, there's no blocking.
Yeah.
It's usually just two guys just exchanging giant blows. The fights
and then moving a little bit of ducking and weaving, but not too much, just keeping your hands up, and they're pretty much down making sure you see their face, because it's well, we're paying these actors, we better let people know that they are actually in them. They're not really covering up.
Also, it's just not very cinematic to just be blocking, but the choreography in Creed seems way more real than any of the other Rocky movies, at least in my opinion.
Well, I think the way that they shot it helped serve the fight sequences better, whereas something I actually kind of like about the Rocky movies, the original ones, is they're almost shot like how you would watch it on TV, where you're not really in the ring with them as much as you're on the side, which was kind of cool because it almost looked like you were watching a boxing match on TV at some points in the fight, which they definitely did a lot less of in the Creed movies. But yeah, I think what they did with the way that they shot the match, it just made it a lot more exciting, even if they weren't just exchanging blows the whole time.
I'll ask you one more thing about it relates to the TV comment. What did you think about them getting the rights to use HBO boxing?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool.
I thought it was
Make
cool.
It legit.
Yeah, I said, it seemed this movie's a little bit more reeled in. It seemed real, this could happen.
Yeah.
And I think they really everything in this movie feels lived in.
Yes.
Which I love. Everything, nothing is crazy. Everything makes sense. There's nothing that's crazy unbelievable. Fucking robots.
Yeah. Although now robots would be believable. Fairly believable.
Yeah. I don't know if I need robots in my boxing movie.
No, probably
not. There was that Real Steel movie, though, with Hugh Jackman, which was robot boxing, which was
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably the movie of our generation.
Yeah, for sure. It changed the world as we know it.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I remember when Adam took down Twin Cities.
What?
that was a fight in Real Steel.
I never saw that movie. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, Adam takes down Twin Cities.
Great,
really great fight.
Great.
I remember where I was when I saw it. It was.
That's amazing.
Anyway,
what's the tomato on this bad boy?
Creed critic score 95%, highest rated movie in the Rocky franchise.
I get it though.
89% audience score.
Wow, 95 to 89.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh no.
You want me to go first?
No, I've been going first to this.
Keep it consistent.
Well,
yeah,
keep
I'll let
it consistent. And I also don't want your answer to skew my answer. And I'm pretty sure you're rigid in your answer. I think I have to say man. Tomato.
Oh man, you're going tomato?
I think so.
It's a tomato for me.
95 is just so high. Honestly, I'd rather give it like a 90, 92-ish. 95 was just very high, and I just didn't know if I was ready to do it.
It's a 95 for me.
It's not a bad movie. I have little to no complaints about the movie at all. I'm not saying 85 is bad. I just think 85...
You want to give it an A-.
I'm going closest without going over.
Yeah. I think you want to give it an A-, and I want to give it an A.
See, 95 sounds like A+ to me.
I think 90...
What's an A+?
I think an A+ is 97 or above.
Yeah?
I think so. I think 95 is right at A.
All right.
And like 90...
Well, like I said, I would rather see it somewhere in like the low 90s than I would see it anywhere in the 80s.
Yeah, I think you want to give it an A-. I want to give it an A.
Yeah, that's fine. I can live with that. That sounds less harsh than saying like tomato, because it's like it's still not a bad score. To give it the tomato, it just sounds negative.
Yeah.
Which is probably the problem with our grading these like this.
It's a tomato for me though. 95.
Okay.
It's I love this movie.
I like it a lot.
Love this movie.
I like it a lot.
And that gets us to Creed 2.
Creed 2. So I guess here is where we'll hop off of the tomato meters, and we're actually gonna just start digging in, man. Like, this movie is a little bit fresher in my mind because I saw it a little more recently. We didn't get a chance to go do this one simultaneously in theaters, but I'm wondering, like, what do you remember from like early on in the film, like it starting up? Like, what do you?
Before we get into anything, I just want different director.
Yes,
it's not Ryan Coogler,
not the Cougs.
And I think that is actually very important when talking about this movie.
Yes, I think Ryan Coogler still like produced or something.
He produced it. But Stephen Capel Jr. is the director of this. I don't know anything else he did. He did something called The Land and I think A Different Tree.
Who did the first Tree? Original Tree by Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
Tree 2.
But also, I don't think the first Creed was written by Sylvester Stallone. This one was written by Sylvester Stallone. There's four writers on this movie. Stallone is one of them.
I'm sure he contributed in some way.
I'm curious how much he contributed, because this movie takes a lot of beats from other Rocky movies.
Yes, it does.
And
it takes a lot of things from other Rocky movies.
Yeah. The first Creed, I think you can watch it on your own or on its own, and it's like its own entity. It feels like a Creed movie. Creed 2 feels a little bit more like a Rocky movie, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. Yeah, no, like it definitely... This movie is somehow more about the relationship between Creed and Rocky than it is like anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I guess... And then Rocky and Ivan.
Yeah.
Like it's like a lot about them.
There's a few different ways that I kind of wish this movie went, and they're not the way that it did go. And I feel that's definitely going to come across as like negative, and it's not, because I do like this movie. I just wish that it went in a few different directions. I feel like they could have done more.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that in a bit. Again, stars Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Hollywood Creed.
Oh, yeah.
Tessa Thompson is back as Bianca. Sylvester Stallone as Rocky. And then they brought back Dolph Lundgren as Ivan Drago.
Yes. Who is the guy who plays his son?
Florian Montanu.
Cool. Is he... I have no idea who this guy is.
I looked it up.
Was he a fighter or is he an actor? Or is he both?
I didn't look into like him specifically as his career, but this is his first movie role.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he might be a fighter, because dude was fucking huge.
Yeah, he was a monster.
Dude was jacked up.
I think they needed someone who like physically was a monster to compare to his dad from Rocky 4.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Homeboy was fucking pumped.
Oh yeah,
up,
no,
though.
he is ripped out of his mind in this.
Yeah, man. Looks fucking terrifying.
So, just getting that stuff out of the way, a lot of the same cast, but they brought back characters from Rocky 4, and this movie plays a lot on the plot of Rocky 4.
Yep. It's essentially the plot of Rocky 4.
Yeah. Like we said, it could have been Rocky 4.2.
with the exception of in Rocky 4, it's first Drago v Creed, which gets Rocky to face him. In this one, it is Drago v Creed twice.
Yeah. Yep. And I actually wrote down a lot of the beats that they stole from other movies, but yeah, so like the movie starts up and Donnie Creed it starts off with the match of him becoming the champ. They just throw you in it. The movie starts and he's the champ.
He beats the guy who was training at his dad's gym in the first Creed movie.
Oh, really?
That's the guy who was supposed to face Pretty Boy Ricky, but he broke his jaw in the weigh-in and everything.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So I thought that was cool that like it just progressed you in the story, and now that dude was already champion, and now Creed's going up against him finally because they were supposed to have like, he's the one who lost his car. Yeah, he lost his car to, which they make like light mention of in the beginning of Creed 2, like in that match. Yeah. Like, I heard that same car is up again tonight. He's gonna get his keys back, whatever.
I did not catch that. That's actually really cool. Yeah. But yeah, the movie starts up, he wins, and he is the world champion.
Yep. Which is cool, but you kind of see coming.
Yeah.
You kinda, like, as soon as you see, like, championship matches, like, oh, he's going to win the title.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because this isn't really the big fight that's supposed to be, like, the payoff at the end anyway, so it was fine. It was cool.
I found this movie more predictable than the first one.
Yes, very much so.
And there's something that I'll get to in a bit. There was something that threw me for a little bit for a loop, but it was just the execution of it, but I'll get to that in a few minutes. So he becomes the champ, and then basically a lot of things happen in very little time. He becomes he becomes the champ,
and then like immediately has a kid.
Yes. That is one of my complaints about this. I don't think, and I saw other people saying like they really liked that they used a pregnancy to show you the passage of time. But it seems so it seems so quick to me.
Yeah,
it was like
a little quick.
In the span of like 15 minutes.
So basically he wins the championship and then doesn't defend it for like a year. Well, he defends it the one time, but then
yeah. But like I'm trying to remember what happens first, but basically he proposes to Bianca.
Yep.
And
who doesn't hear it.
Yeah, she doesn't hear it at first.
So that was the thing that like that bothered me about the first one. I was like, oh, this never came back. So it was good to see that it came back and they actually followed up on that thread. Because there's another thread that they didn't really pick up from the first one that bothered me with like Rocky having cancer.
Yeah. You just, I guess, have to assume that he's in remission.
Yeah. I think they make such light mention about it, and he's just like, oh, I beat cancer. And it's like, why the fuck did you need it for the first one if like the second one you're just like, oh yeah, I don't have it anymore.
Yeah, I think
like, that's how you just like, that's probably Sylvester Stallone's contribution. He's like, I don't want to have cancer anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, really, Rock? Like they call him Rock. Like when he's not in the movie, they still, really, Rock? I mean, we wrote it into the first one, and it was like a pretty big part of the first one. For your character, you sure? Yeah, I just don't want it anymore.
I don't want that.
Yeah, I got over it.
Yeah, he doesn't have it, and he proposes to his girlfriend. She doesn't hear it at first. She says yes. They go for dinner with his mom, and then basically she's like, hey, you're pregnant, and she's like, oh, am I? And then she is. And then
like a magic trick.
Yeah.
And you're pregnant.
And then basically after he's the champ, Ivan Drago and his son Victor Drago come over from Russia, and they it seemed like they
challenge him.
Yeah, they first they go and they go to Rocky. They go to his restaurant.
Yeah,
which actually was a cool scene. I thought when they sit down, the talk. Yeah, I like that scene. But they challenge him, and basically,
Rock doesn't want to support his decision to accept that challenge.
Yeah,
but Creed feels like he has to because like that's the dude who killed his dad, and now like he's got to like I don't know stand up against that or something.
I feel like at least me personally, if I was in that situation, I would want to kick the shit out of that guy.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
That being said, the whole first movie was kind of about stepping out of, he didn't want to be a Creed in the first one. You know, he wanted to be his own person.
Yeah, exactly.
So it seems a little weird, but at the same time, like, I completely understand wanting to, like, you know, fight for your father's honor or whatever, you know, defend him.
Do what he couldn't do.
Yeah.
To help cement your own name.
There's a great scene, at least I thought it was great, when Rocky's basically like, you can't fight this guy, he's gonna destroy you, and he's like, this guy's dangerous.
He's got nothing to lose, you got everything to lose. That makes him dangerous.
And then Michael B. Jordan goes, no, I'm dangerous or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool scene. But
I liked it better like later when spoiler, Rocky comes back to support him after getting fucked up in the first match. Like, fucked up, dude. I did really like this aspect of the film where, like, they showed him not just his recovery in the hospital, which is like what you get in Rocky 2. Like, he recovers in the hospital and he's like pretty much fine. He's like a little bit swollen, but he gets over it. Like this, like, he's like coughing up blood and he's pissing blood and shit. Like, dude, it was pretty brutal.
Yeah. That's
barely walk sometimes. He's got sore spots on his fucking back.
The fight is pretty brutal. And what I was just getting into with, like, the lapse of time, you know, he proposes, they're pregnant, he gets challenged to this fight, has the baby, all in what, 20 minutes in the movie?
Yeah, it happens really quick.
It happens really quick. And
like first half hour or so, I'd say.
They wanted to put a lot into this movie, but that section happened so quickly. I was kind of like, wait a minute, we're already here? Wow, there's no like lead up to the fight either. The fight just kind of happens. They show you an HBO boxing like clip, and then the fight's happening.
Yep.
And the one thing I was gonna say about the fight,
I was surprised by that. I was like, wait, they're fighting already?
Yeah, it happens real quick. The one thing that I will say about this fight, that watching them fight in the theater, I'm like, okay, he's gonna lose. The thing that threw me for a loop is that he doesn't technically lose.
Nope.
He gets disqualified.
Yeah, Victor Drago throws a punch while
he's down.
He's still down, and he gets disqualified.
Yeah.
But everybody can see that he lost that match. Like, he wasn't landing shit on him, and when he was, it wasn't doing a fucking thing. Because this dude is built like a goddamn tank.
When I'm watching this movie, though, I'm like, okay, he's gonna lose here. This is Rocky 3. This is where he loses. And then he doesn't technically lose. Like, morally, he loses.
Yeah. Oh, it fucks him up, like, mentally for the rest of the movie until the end, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
That's an aspect of the movie that I do really like.
It's almost as if you are following Rocky 1, but Apollo Creed is your hero. You know what I mean? Because if you're looking at Rocky 1 from Apollo Creed's standpoint, it's like, oh, this dude took me to the fucking max and I lost that match. I know I lost that match. I only won based on like somebody else's decision. Yeah. So it's kind of cool because it's like, it's like you're watching Rocky 1 through Apollo Creed's viewpoint of it.
Yeah, that thing. And I was going to say, is that something from wrestling where someone will clearly lose, but then the other person gets disqualified? Like the person with the title gets to, like, they stay the champ.
Yeah, that is a thing in wrestling.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
it's champion's advantage, where like if you are the champ and you get DQ'd, then you don't lose your title.
Okay.
Or if you lose by disqualification, you don't lose your title. You get to keep the title, but you still get a loss.
Okay.
But I feel like in boxing, if you got that loss, you would still lose the title. But I'm not sure about that. I'd have to look that up.
All right.
Like, I don't think you get away with that shit where it's just like you could throw a match and still keep your title. I think in boxing, if you take a loss, it's a loss. You lose your title.
Probably, yeah. But yeah,
there is a good amount of wrestling related to these Rocky movies, with like 50-50 booking is a thing that's like common in wrestling that kind of like makes it dry and dull, because it's like, oh well, we'll put them in a best of 7. One guy wins one week, the other guy wins the next week, then the other guy wins, and they ping pong back and forth, and then the last match decides the winner. So it's like kind of boring when you see that happening, which it does happen in like some of the Rocky movies, where it's like, oh, he lost the first match, he's gonna win the second match.
Yeah.
The main match. Oh, he won the main match, he's gonna win that. He's gonna lose the second match. So this was kind of cool to see that like different.
Yeah.
Definitely caught me by surprise. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And it does a really good job just showing how like malicious and fucking intense the villain is. Like, it really feels like a big deal that they're going to have the last fight. It makes it feel huge, you know, because it's like, oh, this dude almost killed you.
And getting on the topic of the villain in this, and this is going to segue into something just more general and related to Rocky IV, but they actually flesh out the villain a little more than they typically would in a Rocky movie.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, in Rocky IV, Ivan Drago is just big meathead from Russia. This one they go
they
into,
don't really go into like anything with him.
You see in this one you see like the repercussions of him losing that match to Rocky.
I really genuinely liked Victor Drago's character. Like I thought he was such like, in a way he was like Ivan in 4, where he was just this machine built for destruction for the sake of somebody else's vision, because that's basically like how Ivan is used. But instead of Victor fighting for honor of Russia, he's fighting for honor of his family's name so that he can be welcomed back home as a champion and as like an icon.
Yeah.
Because like his father losing to Rocky like ruined their life back home, that they had to move and leave the country and go to like the Ukraine because they basically like dishonored Russia.
Yeah. I thought that the villain aspect of this movie was pretty strong. Like, they definitely could have gone into it more, which when I was saying that I felt like they could have gone in different directions. How cool would it have been if this movie's title was Drago?
Oh, that would have been real
cool. It was a, you know, like a Victor Drago origin story, and then Creed 2 is when the two combine, because like, they could have done more with the Drago storyline.
And he barely speaks in it.
Yeah, no, he really doesn't. He doesn't speak much at all. But I like that they actually, like, you can be like, okay, I understand. You're not just a guy that just wants to destroy things. You are like, there's actually shit riding on the line for you. Like, you know where they're coming from.
Yeah, it's about more than just winning a championship.
Yeah.
It's about literally like seeing his mom again. Like, his mother left them because Ivan lost, basically, and lost the good graces of his country.
Yeah. I thought that was a strong aspect of this film. I like that a lot. And then just in general, they're taking a lot from Rocky IV plot-wise, and Rocky IV is very silly, and this movie is much more grounded.
Well, yeah.
But that's like, you're watching the trailers and stuff for this movie, and this movie taking from Rocky IV could have been so cheesy and over the top, and they really like reeled it in. So I will give it props for that. That is something that I like a lot. They could have felt like this could have been a disaster easily.
Yeah, for sure. I think they did a smart thing by not trying to make it Russia v. US again.
Yeah.
It's not about the countries. It's really about the connection between their two families.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Like, stuff like the major plot points and like the major like storyline going here is like super fucking solid. I don't have a ton of complaints about like the idea of everything. There are some things that were a little bit weird that threw me. That kind of like takes me out of what they basically set up as like a strong foundation, and they kind of put like goofy walls up.
Yeah,
in some spots.
I was going to say this towards the end, but I guess you're kind of hitting on it right now. There's nothing bad in this movie, really. Just nothing in this movie is as good as Creed.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. With the exception of, I will say, the villain.
Yeah.
He is the standout thing, because I didn't really care about the other fighter in Creed 1, the Pretty Ricky.
Yeah.
Didn't really care.
Mm-hmm.
This one, he feels like a real villain.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like, you do get a little bit more insight on him, so it gives you that opportunity to give a shit a little bit more about what's happening. Like, it's not just the stakes that are on the line for Adonis Creed, it's the stakes that are on the line for both fighters, and it makes it that much more intense, because it's like, oh shit, like, I want Creed to win, but at the same time, I feel so bad for this guy. Imagine if he loses, like what that would be like for him. Like, kind of like added a cool layer. So I will say he is like the shining thing in this movie apart from Creed 1, but then other than that, Creed 1 beats it in like every other department.
Yeah. One thing that I'll get your take on this. I love the choreography and stuff from the first Creed. I love like the one take that I was saying, that one fight is awesome.
Yeah.
And I really wanted them to top the fights. I don't know if they did that, but one thing that was pretty cool that I think emphasized like how tough and how badass Victor Drago is, they used like a POV cam during the match.
Yeah.
And that was pretty intense. It's
Yeah,
basically
for sure.
like Ivan Drago just punching you Victor Drago just punching you in the face.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like that or not. I liked it.
That was pretty cool. There was one thing that I didn't like about the fight sequences in this movie is heavy on the slow-mo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of slow motion in this. Like, it kind of makes it lose the effect. Like, I feel like the first Rocky or the other Rocky movies, like, pretty much only had like one slow-mo shot.
Yeah.
Like, and it was like a big hit. It didn't necessarily need to be the last one, but like an important pivotal point in the match, you would hit the slow-mo and it'd be like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it's like boom, slow-mo punch, and then it's like take 2 beats and then it's boom, another slow-mo. I'm like, what like what are we doing? It's like fucking 300 meets Rocky.
The fast slow-mo or whatever.
Yeah, it was just like that was one thing that just kind of bothered me and took me out of it. They were just really heavy-handed with that, which kind of makes it lose its effect and like impact when they actually do use it.
Do you want to just go through the rest of the plot real quick?
I mean,
there's one thing I do want to...
Here's a big plot point. Ivan's a total cuck now. Dude, they go to like whatever, the embassy or something, and there's like the Russian government, and they're like, oh, we're so happy you're going to be in this championship match. And then like his ex-wife, Victor's mother, steps back in the room. What's that actress's name again? I forgot. She was like married or going out with Flavor Flav for a hot minute. Brigitte Nielsen, right?
Yeah.
She walks in and like fucking Victor's all like visibly upset, but Ivan's all like standing up and like bowing and like basically just fucking kissing her feet, and she turns around and smooches this other man, and he's just sitting there and taking it, and Victor's like, this is bullshit. Ivan's totally just sitting there just watching this dude French his wife after like they basically banished them out of the country.
Yeah.
What a cuck.
That's your takeaway from the movie.
Bro, it's like the biggest note in here. I said, poor Victor / Ivan is a cuck.
One thing that did tie back to Creed 1, the hearing aspect for his girlfriend Bianca.
Oh yeah.
There's a pretty strong moment in this movie when their kid is born.
It's made me really sad.
Yeah, and they need to see if the kid can hear, basically, like, you know,
they're like testing it.
They're testing
in the hospital.
And that the way that scene is like plays out too is, I can't remember, is it in silence or
it's mostly in silence?
It's mostly in silence, and I think that you hear the beeps, but you don't know if the kid is hearing the beeps. Is that how it works?
Kind of, yeah. Like they're in separate rooms. Like his wife is in the room with the baby. She's hooked up, and then he's in a separate room behind glass with the person running the test, and she basically explains to him how the test works before it starts, and then starts the test, and then like nothing is happening.
Yeah.
And then he's like all getting stressed, and like it's fucked up, man.
Yeah,
because like she's looking at him through the glass and seeing his reaction. She's just like, what, like she can tell like it's not going right because he's like tearing up and like visibly like nervous and stressed out.
Yeah, that was a powerful moment in the movie. That's probably the biggest like emotional successful part in this movie, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Got to me, man.
Yeah,
but also parent. So now like it's really hard for me to watch like things with like involving kids getting fucked up, because now I'm just like, man, that's such a cheap move, you fucking dicks, because you know you're gonna get me.
So yeah, I thought that was good. And then a great moment in the movie is basically just Tessa Thompson and Michael B. Jordan, and they're talking about like, you know, why do you have to fight this guy? And he basically just says like, if I'm not boxing, then I'm not doing like what I was made to do. Similar, to how, like if you're not singing, you're not supposed you're not doing what you were put on this earth for. And I thought that was a good scene. I thought that was like a good speech and gave you a little bit more reasoning and motivation as to why he's doing that, and it made sense. I did like that.
Yeah, it was cool.
Mm-hmm. And then you basically get your final fight scene, and the one thing I liked in this, kind of a spin on Rocky 4 when Rocky didn't throw the white towel for Apollo Creed.
Yes.
His dad throws the towel for his son, even though he knows that they're never gonna get back accepted into the country again.
Yeah, but you know what? I like that they explain why he would do that, because I think the way that they tell it is almost to say, like, if his mother didn't leave already, then Ivan would have never thrown in the towel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like whoever it is, president, emperor, whatever of Russia, who's there, he gets up and leaves after like Brigitte Nielsen. She can't watch her son because he's getting rocked now at the end. Oh my God. So there's a point literally gave me chills, because they don't really, even in Creed, I don't think they used like the Rocky horns.
They use it, I think, at one part towards the end.
First Creed?
Oh, in the first one?
Yeah. I don't think they use it at all in the first Creed. They don't really use a lot of the same themes, like musically, that are in the Rocky movies.
I think
Maybe a little
the first
bit,
one has like just a tiny segment of it when he, I think, knocks down Pretty Ricky Conlon. I think they play it for like a second.
I don't know what, but man, when it hits in 2, and it's not like the last bit of the fight, it's like he makes a really strong comeback, and the horns hit for that theme, and I could have cried.
Yeah.
It oh my God. It literally gave me goosebumps. I was like, this fucking rocks. Like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I was so into it. Like, it had me.
I'm glad that you went and saw this movie, because I saw it and then I was like, we got to do an episode on it.
Hell yeah. But again, like, the Rocky movies are like huge for me.
Yeah.
Loved them. Like, I couldn't even begin to guess how many times I've seen like Rocky 1 through 4. Easily thousands of hours spent. Like I've literally spent a full day watching all 4, and I've done that multiple times.
Yeah.
Just giving an entire day to Rocky movies.
I need that should be a marathon that I do. I've done a lot of marathons.
That I leave off 5.
5 years, like the 4 Rocky movies.
1 through 4, and then I stop. But now I want to add Creed and Creed 2 to that list, because they're fucking great. I really like them.
I love them too. The last thing that I will say just about the plot, and I like this a lot, something that was kind of weird from the first Creed was, you're kind of like, Rocky has a kid. Why is, he basically like, you only like spending time, like, why is he becoming the father figure for, Adonis when he already has a kid? Or why is he treating him like a kid type thing?
Yeah.
And then you find out this backstory where like he kind of like lost contact with his like his own son, and then at the end of the movie, like, there's a good moment where he reconnects with his son.
Yeah.
I did like that. I thought that hit me a little bit in the feels.
Yeah, it was sweet.
You're indifferent to it.
Yeah, that one didn't get me as much. Parents going to like an adult son doesn't really get me as much. But when you're talking about like the babies, man, leave the babies out of it.
Leave them be, you scumbag.
That being said, why be so upset if your child is deaf? Yeah, it's going to be harder for them, but it's like, whatever, it's still your kid. Like, so? Which kind of Rocky basically says.
Does he say that? I don't remember that.
He doesn't say it like that, but he says something just like, it doesn't matter. She's like, you're gonna love that kid.
Yeah.
He's like, cause she's not gonna not love you for whatever. I don't know what he says.
He says something like that.
But he basically says like,
just like you want the best for your kid and you're upset for him type thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I get it. I guess I would probably be like worried that like kid's gonna have like a harder time in life. Nobody wants their kid to have like a harder time in life. Life's hard enough as it is. But I don't know. He was a little bit too upset by it. It's just like, all right, well, it's your kid. kid can't hear or is hard of hearing, just like still take care of your kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he did, but like,
yeah, that's basically all of I have to say about the movie. I mean,
yeah.
The only other thing is just like my biggest negative on this is that it steals a lot of beats from other Rocky movies. It feels,
which is kind of that's something that like was a little bit meh.
Yeah, this
it does
movie
feel like a Rocky movie, not a Apollo or Adonis Creed movie.
Yeah, Creed 1 is a little similar to Rocky 1. This movie is like an amalgamation of Rocky 2 through 4.
Yeah.
It takes plot points from 4, and then just in terms of like the beats that happen, him getting knocked out earlier, having to come back, very similar to Rocky 3.
Yeah.
You know, there's like in Rocky 2, there's like a pregnancy subplot in that movie.
Yeah.
You know, he's not fighting for a long section.
The wife not wanting you to fight,
is
especially when you have
Rocky
a
2.
son
Yeah.
coming on the way and stuff.
Even like there's like a training montage from I think it was Rocky 2. I'm trying to remember, but there's, you know, like he's got the sledgehammer in this one.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, in Rocky 4. I can't remember, but there's one part where he's got to like.
Well, they did a lot of the
Or maybe that was
training
Rocky
stuff
3.
similar to Rocky 4, but instead of doing it in the ice and snow, they did it in the desert.
Yeah. And there's like the thing with the chickens where he's got to like catch the chickens. I remember that being very similar. Like,
yeah, I don't know how that helps.
The training sequence from Creed, the first one was like kind of cool. There was like all like the bikers and like the streets of like Philadelphia and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
as he's like running down the street and they're, like, popping wheelies and stuff. Yeah, don't know how that helps.
Yeah, I think that was all just for style, but
yeah.
It was cool. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that borrows from other Rocky movies, and
which does make sense. I get it.
It does make sense.
At the same time, like I think Creed was so refreshing as a movie. Just keep going with that.
Yeah,
like make it about him, which I think was a big part of the movie. Was I think Stallone is stepping away from the franchise now. Like, he'll probably still be involved, but I don't think he's going to really be in the movies, because even at the end of the match, he basically says to Creed, he's like, it's your time now.
Yeah.
And then he sits down there. He doesn't even get in the ring to celebrate with him. He just sits down there, and then it slowly backs away from him, and you just see, like, the back of Rocky. And I think it's kind of signaling, it's like, you got this now. And he's, like, passing the torch to him, like...
I kind of hope so. I would like Rocky to be in these movies, but maybe
less of a focal point.
Wouldn't it be cool though if like you go like almost the entire movie without seeing Rocky, and then at like the end he shows up?
Yeah,
and then maybe you get that like audio cue with like the theme, and you're like, oh fuck, you just get pumped up. But like, I think that would be cool. The main thing for me is like,
it's hard to imagine these movies without a Rocky though.
Yeah, the one thing like, I just feel like this movie. I need to know how much Stallone actually wrote, but it felt like he had more, because he didn't really write the first one, and the first one's very refreshing. This one seems like he might be getting like, if he was like had a lot of control over the script, it seemed like he was getting in too much into like his old ways, where you're just kind of like rehashing a lot of ideas from other things. I would almost prefer you to just like go in a completely different direction. And that's why like I see people like saying like, oh, where are you gonna go for Creed 3 now? Like, what are you gonna do? And like, honestly, as much as I love these two movies, I don't really think you need to make a Creed 3. They probably will, because they're making bank on it, but like, you know,
who would he fight? Here's another thing about this movie. I liked that the stakes were higher because the villain has like a history just between like their families with each other. It kind of heightens the stakes. I don't want to keep seeing people's sons fight. Like, it doesn't need to be connected to the Rocky movies. But I guess at the same time, I was just not complaining, but I was just saying how I didn't really care about the fight against Pretty Ricky.
Yeah.
You know what they should do? They should do Adonis Creed versus Conor McGregor, but like as himself. That would be a boxing match.
I mean, Rocky 3 started up with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're bringing a UFC fighter.
Bring in a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Bring in Hulk Hogan and his racist dumbass.
I was also
come
you're
back.
like, what other people could we use to fight? And it's like, oh, does Mr. T have a son?
Yeah,
bring
right.
Mr. T's son into a.
That's what I mean. Like, I really hope that they don't take that route and just be like, these are people whose fathers fought your father.
Yeah,
Like-
I hope they don't do that. I would rather them get more original with this. If they're gonna keep it going, write some new characters and do some different stuff with it. I don't really want to see the same stuff over and over again. I think you got away with it with this one because there was that emotional like connection with his dad and Rocky IV, but you can't. I don't think you can really do that again.
Yeah.
Like if they make another movie and they just borrow from other movies, I don't think it's gonna have nearly the like emotional impact that this one did.
Who do you think should play the next Creed villain or opponent? I guess I should say they're not really like necessarily villains.
Villains, yeah.
They do make them seem like dicks, though.
They do. I don't know. I mean, so far with these, they haven't gone with a big name for them.
That's true.
So it's kind of like tough. I don't think you really need to unless you're
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, he'd have to be like a welterweight, though.
The middle tooth.
Yep.
You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's obviously not serious. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess that's why we're not movie
Dave
writers.
Bautista.
I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine. It'd be believable. He's a beast.
He is a beast. He's a little older.
The animal. And he was a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
So he's got acting chops and he's a believable like athlete because he is an athlete.
At this point, can you insert the John Cena theme? John Cena. Yeah, so that's all I have to say about Creed 2. I don't know if you want to say anything else.
No, man. I think we will dive into our tomato possibly, or do you want to give our personal rating before the tomato?
I think we should do the tomato first, because if you give your personal rating, then that'll basically spoil tomato, right?
Good point. So what do we have for the scores on this bad bitch right here?
I want to show you this because I think you're gonna find this really funny.
Okay, so we're just gonna pull it up and reveal it all.
Yeah, I'm revealing it for you.
Oh, great. This is gonna be tough.
83 to 83.
Oh man, who do I side with? Then I will say tomato. Because,
I'm going tomato as well.
Yeah, why not? It's the same score. Who gives a fuck? Let's just try to sound more positive.
Yeah, no, I like this movie a lot.
Me too. Yeah.
I did like it a lot. I think everything from the first Creed is better. But I did like this movie a lot.
And none of the things that we really pointed out as like quote unquote flaws make it so unenjoyable. Like I was definitely happy that I saw this in theaters. It's not necessarily one you have to see in theaters. I think you're going to get a lot of the same feeling from it just watching it at home, but I was happy that I got to see it in theaters.
Yeah. I like seeing it in theaters. I think the audio and like bigger screen is nice, especially like when you're saying the point of view like shots and stuff like that. That was cool. But it's definitely like, I don't think it's a must see in theaters. I did enjoy it though a lot, and I didn't really say this in the review. I didn't like the audio mixing as much in this movie as the last one. I thought the like blows that were being exchanged were a little bit tamer and stuff, which is why I'm saying like you could watch it on DVD and be fine with it. But it's a good movie. I would recommend seeing it in theaters, but
I am reminded of something. So on the picture from the video, it's showing like his entrance, and I think that was for the first fight that they had, which was cool. But the second entrance,
okay,
when for the last fight, Wifey sings his intro.
Didn't like that.
I didn't like that. I thought that was super corny.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
Also, who's watching their newborn baby? Because she's singing his entrance. He's walking into the match. His mom is sitting at ringside.
Yeah.
And Rocky's at ringside too. That's all of the people we know of connected to Creed in this movie. Who's watching their child? This child that's like less than a year old.
I'm getting into a few more points, which I probably shouldn't because we basically already gave our grade out. But
yes,
and it just reminded me that like the her singing thing was very cheesy, but there are some cool lighting techniques with like lasers and like fog and stuff that I like there. Yeah. And then the cinematography wise, there's some really cool shots when he's in a pool. Like I like the cinematography in this movie also. When he's in that pool, the camera goes underneath the water, and the audio, the audio does change, like it muffles as it goes underwater and comes back out and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I did like that. The cinematography is pretty good. It's just the first Creed is so finesse that it just makes the stuff in this movie just not look as good. But it's a quality movie.
Yeah, really solid sequel.
Yeah,
good follow up.
I'm giving it a B. My own personal grade, tomato, I'd give it a B.
Yeah. Honestly, I'll go B plus.
B plus.
I'd give it like a little bit better credit for like what it did. I think most of that for me is the villain though, like picking that score up.
The villain is definitely like, I think, the shining moment in this movie, or I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it, but
I got you.
Killed it with the villain. I like that a lot.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, from here, let's rank out all the Rocky movies.
Yep, we're going to go through now all of the Rockies, including Creeds, because it's all part of that Rocky verse we were talking about, and we will start from the bottom of the list. I feel like since I started the tomatoes, like with my answers, I think it's only fair that we get to hear your ranking first. We'll just do it.
Yeah.
Starting from the bottom of the list, take turns, your bottom, then my bottom, and then so on and so forth.
All right. I'm down for that.
All right. So 8 of these movies in the Rocky verse. Who's falling in last place for you?
Dead last, number 8. Rocky 5.
Same.
Okay.
All right. I have a feeling our bottom's going to be very similar, but it's going to get real tricky towards like the middle and the top.
Yeah.
Like we're going to be a little bit different.
You were like, I think this is going to be tough, and I was like, this is going to be tough, but I was done within like 3 minutes. You took a while.
I took a long while. I was trying to outweigh the nostalgia factor to the quality film factor, and I think you're going to find out which one won.
Yeah. Nostalgia is like high on my list in terms of like, that's just in general. Like a lot of movies, when we do these, like nostalgia is going to trump some things, but
yeah,
I will say if I think one movie is better than the other. Like,
okay,
that's fair. I'm gonna say like, I think this movie's better, but nostalgia wise and all this stuff, this movie's coming out top.
Okay, at least we'll understand why you're fucking psychotic.
Number 7, I think this is gonna be different. Number 7, Rocky 3.
It is different. I put Rocky Balboa.
Okay.
It has none of the nostalgia for me. It doesn't feel like stakes are high at all. I don't know. I'm not as attached. It's the Rocky movie I've seen the absolute least of. So I might just need to revisit that before I could fairly place it. But as of right now, yeah.
Yeah. Rocky, like I said earlier, Rocky 3 just didn't do it for me that much. Mr. T's just a villain. I don't think you really care much about him. You just, that's it. It's very predictable too. He loses the fight and he comes back and wins it, and that's the end of that.
That's fair. I will say that it's not like Rocky 3 is not so amazing for me anyways, but I understand why you say that, but I gotta put it a little bit higher. That's all.
But I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care, basically.
Number 6, Rocky 4.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to be wildly different. Number 6 for me is Rocky 3.
Okay.
So I was close. I was close.
You were close.
7 for you, 6 for me. I think Rocky 3 gets that 6th spot for me for Eye of the Tiger alone.
It's like bumps it up a few spots.
Hells yes.
Yeah.
But really, Rocky 4... that's pretty low on the list.
Yeah, Rocky 4.
That robot really gets you.
It gets me. As I was going to say, the cheesiness of this movie takes me out of it.
This is going to be a very interesting list.
Number 5? You ready?
Yeah, what do you got?
Number 5 for me, Rocky Balboa.
Okay.
What are you at?
I feel like this is going to cause an uproar.
You going to say Creed 2?
I'm going to say Creed 2.
Oh, man.
You're gonna see that nostalgia really trumps a lot of things on this.
Okay.
For me, again, these movies were a huge part of my childhood and my adulthood. Even like I can't not watch the Rocky movies. If I see them on TV, I get sucked into it. That and Goodfellas. Those are like the only movies that I cannot step away from.
I honestly, I'm not too upset. I do think 5's low, but I thought that you were gonna rank Creed 2 at number 4.
Oh, really?
That's where I thought you were gonna put it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, number 5, Creed 2.
My number 4, Rocky 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. We are wildly different on this list. I knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah. Rocky 2 is my number 4.
Hey.
I like Rocky 2. The rest of these movies I think are really good movies.
Yeah. Well, hey, ask me what my number 4 is.
What is it?
Creed.
Oh, that's a bad choice.
I can't help it, man. The nostalgia is crushing it. It's an awesome movie. I'm not saying that it's not anything short of fucking great, but my top 3 is just so much of a big deal for me, you know?
So the nostalgia's riding hard on you.
Riding real hard. Hard.
I'm wondering, do you think that these upcoming movies are better movies than Creed?
Nah, man, that's really hard to say. I guess I'd have to rewatch them now, having seen Creed,
and then decide.
Okay. Because there's a lot of things that you even pointed out when we were talking about Creed 1 and 2, or Rocky 1 and 2, that I was like, yeah, that's a good point, and I've literally never noticed it, or I've ignored it my whole life.
I don't care.
Yeah, I just don't care.
There's movies that I love that I ignore the flaws in too. So I mean, I don't really care so much if you do that.
Yeah, but yeah, man,
I'm just surprised. I think Creed's so good. Anyway,
me too. I think it's great, but it's not as big for me.
Fair enough.
As these other ones were.
Fair enough. Number 3, Creed 2.
Wow, that's high up, a top 3.
Yeah.
Mine's Rocky 4.
Rocky 4 is okay.
Yeah.
I think honestly, if you were just ranking Rocky movies, a lot of people would have Rocky 4 as their third favorite.
Yeah. It's, dude, I Will Break You and the fucking him the montage of him in like the snow and everything, and like Apollo Creed dying, like it's such a fucking crazy movie, like, and it's just that whole thing of like the crowd in Russia actually chanting for Rocky later in the fight, and like him being able to turn the crowd is like, I don't know, man, that movie's fucking cool. I like that movie.
It is a cool movie. I was actually talking to one of my coworkers the other day about that, and he basically said like he knows how like stupid it can be, but as a kid, like that was like the omega. And that's why he still likes it so much, even though now, and he's like a big film buff.
It casts such a big shadow over Rocky 3.
Yeah.
Like Rocky 3 is so forgettable in comparison. Like it may as well have just went 1, 2, and then 4.
Yeah.
And just never made 3 and 5, because 3 doesn't really do much to serve story.
3, the best thing 3 does is just give.
You could have killed
Rocky
Mickey in 2 if you wanted to, or killed him in the beginning of 4, and then you kill Creed 2. What?
Yeah.
2 deaths, 1 movie.
The best
first
thing,
hour.
The best thing that Rocky 3 does is that it gets you to like Apollo Creed and make Rocky and Apollo Creed like each other.
Yeah.
So then when he dies in Rocky 4, it's a little bit more impactful.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think Rocky 3 is kind of a throwaway movie.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Yep.
Number 2 for me is Creed.
Wow, man. That's powerful stuff.
Creed's number 2. I had to think about that though, man. I love Creed.
I feel like my list is going to cause an uproar.
Are you going to say Rocky is number 2?
Yes.
Oh, man. You like Rocky?
I love
2.
Rocky 2.
Yeah.
I love Rocky 2. Because the whole thing of it picking up not the second after Rocky 1, but it starts with the last like 10 minutes of Rocky 1. Like, so you get that cap. So it's so cool to see it just like pick up immediately, and it's like the story just keeps going.
That is cool about Rocky 2.
And then the dynamic between him versus Apollo Creed, now it gets a little bit more serious, and now there is a little bit of a more like build up, and it's, you know, he took him, can he prove that it was a fluke? And like, I don't know, man, there's just so much cool stuff about Rocky 2 that I just love it, man. It's the rematch. It's exciting. Is he going to be able to beat him this time? Like,
Rocky 2 is very good.
Yeah, man. I just love Rocky 2
honestly,
so much.
The only reason that Rocky 2 was number 4 and not number 3 for me, and maybe I could flip that. I'm like, you know, that might change.
This was the thing that gave me the hardest time. I couldn't decide if I wanted Rocky or Rocky 2 in my number 1 spot.
Rocky 2, the only thing that like knocks it down a little bit for me is there's a lot of like great moments in it, but then there's also some like very like hokey moments, at least in my opinion, for it. Like,
yeah,
like I said, the training montage, I'm like, all right, this is just crazy. But like,
yeah, but it's iconic.
It is iconic, but so is the fun in the first one.
Sure. Honestly, if you played both of them for me right now, I couldn't tell you which one was from which.
Really?
Maybe I could figure it out, but I might be being hyperbolic with that. But yeah, man, I don't know. Something about Rocky 2 just like spoke to me in this moment when I was like, I had to list it. I was like, I think I got to put 2 above 1. And I realized this list is insane. And I do feel like Creed and Creed 2 landed a little too low on my list. And if I was looking at them as just quality of film, they would have been higher.
Yeah.
They definitely would have been over Creed 4. And maybe Rocky 1 would be number 1 and 2 would be 2. And then Creed 1 would be 3. And then maybe Rocky 4 would be 4. And then I would put Creed 2 right under that.
All right.
That's if I'm going based on just
films.
Yeah, maybe 4 would slide down more, but
you know what it is for me though?
It's
like,
still really hard for me to lose that.
I don't have like the nostalgia behind the Rocky movies like you do.
Yeah.
I like them, but they were never like one of the main reasons why I went back and really watched them was because I hadn't seen them in forever.
Yeah.
So like they're not movies that I watch all the time.
Probably seen at least one Rocky movie a year. If I really think about it.
Revisit them, or just one of them.
Not revisit all of them, but like I catch at least one a year.
Yeah,
like I'll just see them. Like, I'm gonna watch Rocky 2.
Yeah, they're great movies. I mean, I would say out of the 8 movies, I think 4 of them are really good, really good.
That's a good track record.
It is. Yeah, it is a good track record.
Yeah,
I think the ones that are bad are pretty fucking bad, but.
Oh, for sure.
There's some
5 is so unmemorable and pointless.
You know it's kind of weird. I think that the only time that Stallone has won a Best Actor award was the movie that he didn't write.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look. I don't know if he won Best Actor for Rocky, but he won a Golden Globe for Creed.
Huh.
Yeah, for supporting actor. So.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you, Stallone.
Yeah.
Stallone baloney.
I'm good there. You know, do you want to mention anything else? Thank you for listening to the first episode. One of many.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be important. I hear a lot of podcasts talk about it's important to rate and review. That helps us get, higher up on the list for when people are searching for podcasts. Mm-hmm. It's going to take some time. I think it's going to be a slow burn, but it's going to be a burn nonetheless, baby.
It'll be a fun burn.
It'll be a nice fun burn. SPF 420.
I'm looking forward to
for that fun burn.
I'm looking forward to doing these reviews and just like talk movies because obviously we love talking movies. But
yeah,
I think this is a good movie, but I'm sure there's gonna be movies that are bad that we're just gonna like rip into. And I'm also looking forward to getting into some like throwback episodes of movies that like we really like. I mean, we did touch on Rocky and this and that, but we'll probably
and we'll tend to do that, especially when we have movies like this that are part of like a bigger saga. We'll do our like rankings and talk about all the movies leading up to, especially because that's like a really big thing right now. There's so many movies that are coming out that have like a universe that they're living within. Even with like the Men in Black trailer we looked at, it's like we have 3 movies previous to that movie that we can kind of like suss out and talk about.
We do live in a time where reboots are like the thing right now. Like everything's a reboot, everything's a sequel.
Not a lot of originality popping off right now.
Yeah. Speaking of originality, did you see that Jordan Peele's next movie trailer came out?
That should be our next trailer park visit.
I watched it once when it came out. Really excited for it.
Fucking cool.
Yeah.
I'm like genuinely excited, but also terrified to go see that movie. I feel like I'm going to cry during that movie.
I said to my brothers, Get Out was great. I didn't think Get Out was very scary, though.
No, yeah. It's weird calling it a horror movie. There's definitely some spots that are meant to like,
this looks terrifying though.
Yeah, this looks fucking horrific.
Yeah,
in like the best way.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Anything else you wanna mention?
No, I think that's just going to be it. I just want to thank you guys for listening to this first episode and hanging out with us. And we're going to bring a lot more to you. So just keep your ears open and your buttholes tight.
Yep. Look for us on, we're going to be on the Twitterverse.
Yep. We're going to have to come up with all these handles, but by the time you hear this, we should be mostly there.
Yeah.
We're borderline professionals.
Hells
yeah. Well, on that note, I just want to say, suck it, losers.